Hello, Meg here, and I'm your Monday substitute host here on the Pagan Perspective. I just want to apologize to begin with, in that I am extremely exhausted. I am a teacher, and we have come up so quickly on the revisions period because pretty soon the kids will have to take the young adults will have to take their exams to pass for their diplomas. And here in France, it's not as easy as the U.S. In the U.S., you have your final exam for each subject, and then in the end you pass. Now, here you have one giant, huge exam at the end of the year, and this one exam, it's so big, it takes about 3 or 4 days to pass to get through it. And I work in the private school sector, and so we not only have the state exams that they have to take, but they also have to take the exams for the school itself to have the level of a private school. And so it falls upon me this year to do revisions, and so I'm so exhausted because I'm working Monday through Saturday. And as a teacher, it's nonstop work because you have to take your work home, you have to do corrections, you have to think, okay, this kid, he didn't get this, so maybe we could do it this way, that sort of thing. And I am doubling up this year. I'm doing 2 subjects. I'm doing English and biology, so I'm really, my head is quite tired right now, and so I apologize ahead of time if I fumble my words, if I slip into French, which could possibly happen. I'll try not to. But yeah, so I'll just get into this video, shall we? So this week's topic, it's a 2-parter because we have questions from two people. And so the first one is Freedom Fighter, who asks, which pagan, witch, or druid figure or figures from folklore, mythology, or historical record, not modern, inspire you and your path, and why? What did they teach you? What can you learn from their life? What do they represent? And why are they depicted in such a way? And what makes them great? And the second question comes from Yucca. Pagan role models, do you have any? Who are they? And what about them do you admire? So the first part of this, I'm taking it as just general curiosity and maybe the possibility of finding someone new that perhaps you haven't yet heard of, or would like to read up on, and so on and so forth, or seeing what we have in common and whatnot. Whereas the second part, Yucca, I mean, it's coming from Yucca, so, but for the pagan role models, I get this question quite a bit actually, and I think it comes more from when I say yes, I'm pagan, they're like, well, you can't be pagan, that doesn't really exist, kind of thing. And it's because we as pagans, we're not very, we don't throw ourselves out there and make ourselves celebrities or adorn ourselves with some sort of title that puts us above the rest, or so on and so forth. And so in these other religions, they always have that one person that they can fall to say, well, like Christians were like, well, Jesus did this, or Jesus said this, and so that's why I do this, or that's why I say this, and so they have sort of that concrete foundation that they can rest on to know, to put themselves sort of on that pedestal to raise themselves up and say, well, no, my belief is a real belief because of so-and-so. Whereas in paganism, we don't really have that 1 or 2 people that we hold high and above the rest to show firmly, like, we are pagan, and pagan is real because of this person. So I understand that a lot of people, they're really looking for that pagan role model or that figure that they can always draw to in conversation to sort of prove to everyone that paganism is a real thing. I don't think that that's why Yucca is asking this question, but from my experience, I understand why some people might find this question to be actually rather important. And so I'm going to try to answer it to my best capability in the state that I am in right now. So yeah, I don't know, should I go on with Yucca or I'll continue with Yucca since I'm already on the topic. So the pagan role models, and so we sort of tend to fall to celebrities, I should say, to hold high as role models, which is not really my thing to do, but I guess if you, like, there's that actress from The Craft, the one that played the crazy one at the end, the one with those crazy eyes that just mesmerized me. She is openly Wiccan and openly pagan. Perhaps that's why her career in Hollywood didn't last so long. It's questionable. And then there's all those authors out there, all those authors and activists and whatnot, all the people that you see on YouTube, who are, I mean, they're not celebrities in a sense, but they're out there and they're known. And for example, when I was trying to think of one that I kind of who somewhat inspire me, I would have to say Starhawk. And I don't like everything she does. I don't like everything she says. I'm not into her way of, she sort of, in a lot of her books, she sort of has this arrogant tone to it, in that, well, it's this way and you should do it this way because, and I know because I'm one of the people who kind of got this ball rolling sort of thing. And I really don't like that approach from her. And I don't know if she was intentionally making it come out that way, but that's the way it came to me, and that's the way I heard it, if you will. And so I really don't like that. I'm really not into spell books, and in all of her books, she always at the end she has, well, and this is the spell for this, and if you do it this way, and it's going to work for this, or if you say these words at this time, it will do this, and I'm really just not into that. That's never going to pass by me. So I kind of had like this love-hate relationship with her. Well, I don't hate her, but I don't recommend her at the same time, if you know what I mean. So, but what she does inspire me for is her activism, and that she's openly and unapologetically pagan, and she doesn't give a shit who cares or not. And I do love that about her. And the reason why she inspires me because of her activism is because that I myself am an activist, not to the point of Starhawk, that's for sure, because it's just, in my life right now, I don't feel that that's a good position to take at this point in time. That could easily change. It was different in the past. It could easily be different in the future. But I love that, and that's why I'm showing her book, The Earth Path, because out of all her books, this is the book with the least amount of spell work in it. She does have a few meditation prompts and things like that in there, but this book is really about the activism in paganism, and I firmly agree with her when it comes to that paganism equals activism, in that to be a pagan, to really be a part of this earth, you have to fight for it, and if you're not playing, you have to, no matter how tiny your part is, whether it's, whether it's choosing recycled toilet paper, well, not, I know that sounds awful, but recycled paper, toilet paper, if that's your part, if that's your activism in the world, then that be that, or whether it's going and chaining yourself to a tree to save a forest, no matter where you are on the spectrum of activism, I agree with her that to be a pagan, you have to be somewhat an activist for this earth, because she is our church. She is why we're here, why we do what we do. So she, celebrity-wise, if you will, or role model-wise, I think she's a good one for us pagans. After that, I would just really have to say that I don't really hold anyone else above the rest. I don't even hold her above the rest, to be honest. I'm just trying to give an idea of where I'm coming from in regards to role models. A lot of pagans take on the Dalai Lama as their role model. A lot of pagans take on gurus as their Dalai Lama. A lot of people take on some YouTubers as their did I say gurus as their Dalai Lama? A lot of people take on gurus as their role models, and a lot of people take on some YouTubers as their role models. Whoever or whatever it may be, it all depends on who we are, where we are in our point of our spiral, our cycle, and where we want to go, where we want to be. It depends. There's so much that it depends on that we can't just entitle it to this one figure, in my opinion. Someone else who inspires me that's very well known is Joan of Arc. And of course, she was very firm in letting everyone know that she was not a witch, that she was probably the most devout Catholic that ever walked the planet. But she was such an extraordinary, such a remarkable young lady, and I learned so much through her about myself, and about womanhood and about just fighting for what you know inside of you is right. And just going out there and not fearing the worst, just going out there and getting it done. She's really inspirational for that, and I really, really would doubt if she didn't have some sort of witch in her somewhere, because come on, she was clairvoyant, she could speak to angels, so on and so forth. So yeah, she was just extraordinary, so remarkable, and she's very inspiring. So I do hold her as a role model, but I wouldn't give her the title pagan role model, because she's just so much more than her spirituality. She was just a force of nature. And so I take her as a role model in life in general. Also, just everyday people who fight for the little things that make a big difference for everyone else. And so, like Roberta Stewart, I believe I have my notes because I wanted to make sure I didn't lose myself too much in my thoughts. Yes, Roberta Stewart, her husband was a soldier and had died, so naturally would be buried in a military cemetery. However, it was not set that he could have a pentacle on his tombstone. So it was either the crucifix of Jesus, or the cross of Jesus, or the Star of David, or whatnot, or nothing, or whatnot. And so she fought for him to have the pentacle on his tombstone because he was openly and actively pagan. And so it just made sense that he should be buried with a pentacle on his tombstone. But she didn't stop it there. She went on and she fought for all pagan soldiers to have that option or that honor to have that pentacle on their tombstone when they are buried in a military cemetery. And she won. And so now it is part where you have the Christian and the Jewish and so on, and then you have the option of the pagan pentacle on a military tombstone. And so that's very inspiring to see someone that's just like, no, this is not right, and she fought for it. But she could have just stopped with her husband. She could have just done it for her husband, but she didn't. She did it for all pagan soldiers, and that's very inspirational. After that, the Native American culture. The Native Americans in the United States just put up with so much shit, and they get so much. It's a constant fight for them. Yet they keep on fighting. They don't give up, and they stand up for their traditions, and they stand up for their beliefs. And they know that even if they now will not be able to feast on the fruits of their labor, they know that eventually someone will, that good will prevail, and that they will win. And so they just keep going with it, and I find that extremely, extremely inspirational. And then everyday people such as yourself, people who are looking to do good, looking to be good, and looking to connect, and looking to expand and experience. And that's very inspirational. And we learn something from everyone and everything that comes in our lives, whether it be actual people or figures from folklore or mythology. We learn something from them. And even if we choose to dismiss them because there's just something about them that we don't like, and there isn't that connection, if we're smart enough, we should go back to that and think, well, what was it that I didn't like? What was it, and why? Is it because it reflects something about myself that I don't like, or whatnot? Is it because it's something that I want to dismiss from my life because I already lived it, or because I have a fear of living it? Why do I have a fear of living it? So on and so forth. And so all these people and these things and these stories, they spark this reflection, and they spark the shadow work that we all should do. I highly recommend shadow work, because really, even if it's to do a spell or to do a prayer or to do a meditation, we can't really fully do it if we don't fully understand ourselves, and we can't fully understand ourselves without doing shadow work. And so these pagan role models that we hold dear, why do we hold this person as a role model? Why do we not hold this person as a role model? Why do we feel connected to this figure or this character and not to another? All this is for very deep, deep shadow work, and we're only going to learn more about ourselves and learn from learn from that, and be able to go on and expand from that. And so, everyday people, everyday literature, it all is inspirational to me, whether it be specifically pagan or not. So that kind of goes into the freedom fighters' question of which pagan, witch, or druid figure from folklore or mythology or historical record, not modern. Like I said, Joan of Arc, she went down not as being a witch. I think the church even, they made her a saint, so they even, clarified that she was not a witch. But I think from historical record, Joan of Arc, I hold her very high because she's just inspirational as a young lady. She fought for what she believed was right, and she didn't care of the consequence. She just continued on, and she continued to fight. So that's why she inspired me. And what did they teach you? She taught me how to hold strong to my ideas, in that if I really felt deep down in my bones, not just the gut and the heart, but the bones in me were telling me that this is what needs to be done, this is right, then I would just go for it. And then what can you learn from their life? So what did I learn from her life? I learned that there will always be someone to beat you down, and there will always be someone ready to capture you and burn you at stake. Always. There will always be that person, the exact opposite, who is ready to do you harm. But if you want to see your dream through, you just have to keep to it and not fear what's coming for you down the road. Or just, maybe try to do what you can to avoid it or change it, but still live your life and get done what you want to get done. That's what I learned from her. What do they represent? For me, she represents the strength of willpower and the strength of self-confidence. Why are they depicted in such a way? Well, because look what she did. She didn't make history for no reason whatsoever. And what makes them great? Well, look what she did. She did not make history for no reason whatsoever. As far as Starhawk, because I guess we can she's a witch, and she's historical. She's not. Well, she kind of is from historical record because she's in record as. I think she's even on Wikipedia. They talk about her under the Wiccan, on the Wiccan page, and so it's her activism that inspires me. But as far as folklore goes, the two stories that comes to me the most, that I really hold high above the rest and really inspire me everyday inspiration, is the Handless Maiden and the Baba Yaga or Vasilisa story. So the Handless Maiden, I can't remember the origins of the story. I want to say German, but I'm not. It's German. I think it's dramatic, but I can't be sure. And the Baba Yaga Vasilisa story is a Russian folklore story. And when we go back on the original transcript of these stories, we realize that is not at all the story that they sell to us today. And so when we go back to the actual original story, we realize the message that there is to get from there. And sort of the Handless Maiden is sort of that beginning, that maiden into womanhood. And kind of, if you think about it, like I love the myth of Persephone and Hades, and I love that story. And the Handless Maiden you can kind of get the same general idea, because the Handless Maiden, she goes down with the devil and so on and so forth. And so I guess those two stories are the Persephone and Handless Maiden stories. I really love, and it's sort of that maiden into womanhood, if you will. But for men, they could take it as the same way as falling so far down that the only direction left to go is up, and to find that inspiration in those stories to sort of get yourself back up and get back to light and find yourself and find who you are. And the Baba Yaga Vasilisa story is sort of the how to get yourself back up, how to find yourself and find who you are, and to love who you are, and to get out there and hold your head high and know who you are and live your life. So as cliche as it's going to sound, but these stories changed my life. And I came across them through the book Women Who Roamed the Wolves. So that is my favorite book in the entire world. Nothing has beat it. Nothing has even come close to beating it. And part of the reason why I hold this book so dearly is because these two stories are in it as well. And so those are the two folklores that I hold very high, and the two figures from folklore. So the main character, the women in these stories, I hold them very high because they could be any one of us. And I don't mean just any one of us women, but any one of us. We've all been in that situation. We've all been in dire straits. We've all been rock bottom. Well, I don't know how many of you have been actually rock bottom, but a lot of us have been there, and it's these stories help us get back up. So, yeah. So, I think I answered everything. So yeah. So all of this, whether it be all the pagan role models and the figures from folklore and myth and whatnot, they taught me how to find myself as a person and as a woman. So it was self-identification and self-confidence, and through shadow work. And so what makes them great is that they grow through experience, and they expand to their greater selves. And so I do it with them, if you will, as I'm living the story with them. I go through it myself. And this is probably the best thing that I love the most about the original version of the Handless Maiden and the original version of Baba Yaga or Vasilisa, is that there's no happy ending. It's not a horrible, gory ending either, but it's an ending without an ending. But it's enough to know that everything's going to be fine, because the spiral keeps turning, the cycle keeps going, and everything's going to be fine in the end, because you have this newfound strength and you know who you are, and so in a sense you subconsciously know where you're going, and so I love that. So yeah, 21 minutes. I think I'll stop there. So thanks for watching. Until next time, safe journeys to you all, and see you soon.